Welcome back to Trending Update USA. I am Steffan, and today we turn our full attention to a seismic storyline that continues to dominate the sport: the big three of women's tennis, Aryna Sabalenka, Iga Swiatek, and Coco Gauff, who have now commandingly secured the top three positions in the WTA rankings for the third consecutive year. Their sustained dominance is not just a numerical achievement but a profound shift in the architecture of the women's game, redefining excellence, rivalry, consistency, and global reach. What we are witnessing is a rare era in sports, where three talents with sharply different styles, upbringings, on-court philosophies, and mental frameworks have converged at the exact same moment in history to create one of the most compelling competitive ecosystems tennis has seen in years. For several seasons now, analysts have discussed the possibility of a Big Three in women's tennis, a term previously used almost exclusively for the ATP era of Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic. But what separates Sabalenka, Swiatek, and Gauff from earlier would-be trios is their ability to create an enduring structure. Statistical models across the last 36 months reveal that these three athletes have outperformed the rest of the field combined when it comes to finals reached, semi-final consistency, top 10 win frequency, hard-court dominance, and even clay-specific ELO metrics. Each player brings a specialized technical profile: Sabalenka with her ballistic power and aggressive first-strike patterns, Swiatek with her clay court infallibility and geometric precision from the baseline, and Gauff with her athletic elasticity, elite defense-to-offense transitions, and vastly improved serve mechanics. This trifecta of unique toolkits has produced a competitive triangle where each player alternately disrupts and reinforces the other's momentum. Sabalenka's rise to sustained top-tier status can be traced to a richly data-supported evolution in her decision-making patterns. Early in her career, she struggled with red-line hitting tendencies, producing high unforced error counts in critical moments. But by late 2021, Sabalenka began refining her rally tolerance, integrating more measured first-ball aggression and developing a far more reliable down-the-line backhand as a pattern disruptor. Aided by a loyal coaching unit, sports psychologists, and improved biomechanics in her service action, particularly reduced shoulder strain through a more fluid toss, Sabalenka has evolved from a dangerous but inconsistent hitter to a structurally sound aggressor capable of sustained pressure across long matches. Her ability to generate explosive pace without collapsing under error load has positioned her as an apex predator in the modern power baseline era. Iga Swiatek, by contrast, represents the pinnacle of precision-driven tennis. She is arguably the greatest claycourt player since the peak era of Justine Henin, and her Roland Garros metrics are historically comparable to Rafael Nadal in terms of hold-break equilibrium and game-win percentages. But her dominance is not limited to clay. Swiatek's meticulous attention to detail, everything from tactical shot selection to match prep routines, has turned her into a psychological fortress. Her deep return position, heavy topspin forehand, and elite footwork allow her to construct points with mathematical efficiency. Her mental training regimen, anchored by visualization, structured breathing cycles, and process-oriented goal setting, has become a case study in modern sports psychology. Many emerging players have modeled their routines after her blueprint. Swiatek's ability to break opponents' rhythm, push them wide off the court with heavy cross-court forehands, and then attack the open space is one of the most effective geometric patterns in the sport. Coaches across the tour openly discuss how difficult it is to create tactical schemes that cleanly disrupt Swiatek's patterns without taking unsustainable risks. Coco Gauff, meanwhile, stands as the superstar who has transformed potential into realized power. After entering the global spotlight as a prodigy, she faced intense scrutiny regarding serve instability and forehand inconsistencies. But since restructuring her coaching team and undergoing a full mechanical overhaul of her forehand, Gauff has become one of the most complete athletes the sport has seen in years. Her improvements in serve precision, especially reduced double fault rates and increased first serve placement variation, have fundamentally changed her match dynamics. What was once a liability has become a weapon, allowing her to assert scoreboard pressure early in games. Her court coverage remains unmatched. She can extend rallies beyond opponents' comfort zones and force errors through sheer physical presence. Gauff's tennis IQ, particularly in constructing patterns that elongate points and fatigue big hitters, has been instrumental in her rise. Off the court, her charisma and maturity have made her one of the most influential public figures in modern sports. Analysts often refer to her as the complete package: elite athleticism, technical evolution, tactical maturity, and cultural impact. The interplay of these three athletes has created one of the richest storylines in women's tennis history. Their meetings have consistently produced high ratings, sold-out stadiums, and digital engagement metrics that eclipse previous eras. Sabalenka versus Swiatek has become a classic contrast: power versus precision, brute force versus calculated geometry. Their matches often involve extended rally structures where Sabalenka attempts to hit through Swiatek's defensive lattices, while Swiatek tries to destabilize Sabalenka's rhythm through directional changes and controlled spin. Meanwhile, Swiatek vs. Gauff represents a matchup where technical execution and tactical discipline determine the outcome. Historically, Swiatek has held the upper hand, largely due to her ability to expose Gauff's weaker wing, but as Gauff's forehand and serve mechanics have improved, the gap has narrowed. And then there is Sabalenka vs. Gauff, the rivalry defined by athleticism, intensity, and dramatic narrative swings. Gauff's ability to absorb pace, extend rallies, and shift gears has often troubled Sabalenka, creating a matchup that remains one of the most unpredictable on the tour. What makes their current reign particularly striking is the consistent separation from the rest of the field. While players like Aryna Sabalenka, Ons Jabeur, Jessica Pegula, Qin Wenjing, and Maria Sakkari have had strong runs, none have been able to match the week-to-week consistency required to pierce the top three stronghold. The ranking points distribution across the past 3 seasons shows a significant gap, often more than 1,000 points, between number 3 and number 4. This statistical cushion is the clearest indicator of dominance. Only a handful of players historically have managed to create sustained, ranking distance: Serena Williams, Justine Henin, Victoria Azarenka, and in shorter phases, Simona Halep. But to have 3 athletes jointly maintain this level for 3 straight years is unprecedented in the open era of women's tennis. Their global impact extends far beyond match results. The commercial visibility of women's tennis has surged, with sponsorship valuations climbing sharply due to the stability, recognizability, and narrative richness of the Big Three. Sabalenka's global brand soared following her Grand Slam successes and her charismatic on-court persona. Swiatek's corporate partnerships increased as she became the face of precision, reliability, and mental discipline. Gauff's cultural reach transcends tennis. Her following among younger audiences, particularly in the U.S., has revitalized American interest in the sport on a scale last seen during the Williams sisters' era. Combined, they generate immense digital traction. YouTube engagement metrics, TikTok highlight packages, live match commentary feeds, and Instagram traffic all reflect a tri-centralized ecosystem where fans often align themselves with one of the Big Three as part of their sport's identity. From a coaching and development standpoint, this triad has reshaped how academies train young players. Many coaches now emphasize hybrid skill sets that synthesize power and precision. Sabalenka's red-line aggression has inspired a generation of big hitters. Swiatek's tactical structure has influenced baseline training programs globally. Gauff's athletic and holistic development, from mental preparation to biomechanics, has become the blueprint for modern junior programs. Their dominance also affects tournament narratives. Grand Slam draws often feel structurally bent toward the question: which member of the Big Three will emerge from which half, and how early might they meet? This narrative weight shapes fan expectations, betting markets, media storylines, and player mentalities. Emerging contenders frequently speak about measuring themselves against one, or all, of the Big Three as the benchmark for their own development. Several players have publicly said that beating one of them feels equivalent to winning a title, because the level required to compete is so high. But as we look ahead, the triangle is poised to evolve further. Sabalenka is approaching what many analysts believe will be the peak power window of her career. Swiatek continues refining her faster hardcourt strategy, integrating flatter forehands and more aggressive second serve patterns. Gauff, still early in her career relative to the other two, has the most upward developmental upside, particularly in sharpening her inside-out forehand and midcourt finishing skills. All three are positioned to continue shaping the global landscape of women's tennis for several more years. Their personal motivations also remain high. Sabalenka is hungry for additional Grand Slams to validate her dominance. Swiatek is intent on expanding her slam diversity beyond her hardcourt and clay successes. Gauff seeks to build a multi-slam legacy and cement herself as the face of American tennis for the next decade. This convergence of ambition ensures the competitive furnace will continue burning intensely. What we are witnessing is not merely a ranking statistic. This is a generational phenomenon, a structural reshaping of elite women's tennis. Sabalenka, Swiatek, and Gauff have formed a competitive triumvirate that is pushing the sport into a new era of athletic excellence, global visibility, and narrative depth. They have generated the kind of sustained rivalry ecosystem that every sport dreams about: three distinctly different athletes, at the peak of their powers, driving each other to unprecedented heights. Whether you are a casual fan or a technical analyst, it is impossible to ignore the magnitude of what the Big Three represent today. Year after year, tournament after tournament, they have proven that their place atop the rankings is not an anomaly, it is the new normal. The third consecutive year of owning the top three spots is more than a milestone. It is a declaration: this era belongs to them. And as long as they continue evolving, adapting, and pushing each other to new limits, the rest of the tennis world will continue chasing their standard. The Big Three are not simply participating in the sport, they are defining its identity. This is Steffan from Trending Update USA, and undoubtedly, this is one of the most dominant eras the sport has ever seen. The Big Three reign continues, and all signs suggest they are only getting started.